to a do-or-die match for IG. After this one, you could qualify for 2025 if you're a glass half full kind of person. But it is an Ezreal for LGD to start it off.
The Yone ban's been dropped by LGD, but I don't mind them banning away the Draven, because if they are seeing the spot lane of IG in a game 3 where they could go out, yeah, banning away the Draven when you first pick in that Ezreal, I think that makes a lot of sense. The Kai'Sa and the Lily are also off the table as well. I think that both these teams have realized just how powerful that pick is in the hands of both of these junglers. And it will be that Leona locked in for Vampire early.
See the setup, the long distance engage is already there for IG. See if they can follow it up with anything to kind of round this one for them. Love a lot of the focus that we've had towards the bot lane supports, a lot of the setup that both these teams truly need. And maybe JinJiao's MVP last game signaling a little bit of how important these supports have been. And maybe Vampire's Blitzcrank. Thoughts go back to that one in that previous game. But now it is the Corki taken away from the Ezreal combo here. So the double poke is not necessarily going to be there for LGD.
Right, so Tristana's off the table, so we won't get Tristana Corki again. You can get Zeri or Lucian for Haichao. You could also flip things up as well and say, okay, Haichao, go back to LeBlanc, and then we'll play an AD jungler like the Kindred or something like that. LGD, they've got options there, and I think given the way that they have played around the mid lane matchup so far, I think they're happy to take anything in there. Neny, we've talked about him being this role swap player. We have empathy for Neny, being someone who subbed in and out of the roster, role swap from top lane down to mid lane for this Invictus Gaming team. But it doesn't mean he's going to be any more effective, sadly. Empathy only goes so far. Haichao has been the better mid laner. He's been getting boatloads of gold, particularly off of the 6 scrub turret pushes inside lanes. He's going to get himself onto his area, which is absolutely fine into the Corki as well. It's, again, just another 80 carry versus 80 carry matchup. And it's one that can absolutely ruin team fights.
Okay.
Such a big change from IG, though, with the Smolder locks in for On.
So at this point, they're saying, On, carry us to the promised land. Become a big, strong dragon. Be your best self, because we know that On is the guy that has been a major carry for IG in their successes, in their hot hand coming out of the Rumble stage. So now what I'm particularly looking at for IG is holding on. Get to that big spike, the 225 stacks, and be able to be strong at that point.
But that is just not IG.
It's not.
This is not what this team does, and that's my worry now. Yes, this is saying Arn carries. Arn has been carrying in a different way for this team. He's been doing it by smashing lane and snowballing. If they don't have that Draven or the Kai'Sa, maybe this has been the Achilles heel for IG. Maybe they've been found out in terms of the blueprint. You stop Arn having this choice champions, and IG just can't do what they need to. This is passing up stuff like the Misfortune and something more lane dominant. They go towards this very different style of play, and I'm wondering whether they're not going to have the early game power to stop LGD getting into that point where they just lock the map again, where they get people into side lanes, they just get 6 grubs, because let's be honest, you're not going to be fighting very well around the rest of the map. I think LGD have just been given a free pass to have an early game and a mid game, and they have been better in the early game and the mid game so far, so IG, they need themselves some early firepower options now.
GLFS, he's going to grab the Maokai. We saw him be very reactive last time around, and he does not get the chance to be reactive against this matchup, it feels like, because the Shyvana finally let through the picks and bans, paired up with the Jace, so they'll still have a lot of long-range poke coming through, and my God, imagine trying to step up to this team around objectives.
I would like to not imagine that, Mazel.
That's a nightmare.
For those of you that have missed the recent Shyvana fab, the build is Spear of Shojin into Liandry's, and then you can flex into different things like either Riftmaker or Horizon Focus. We basically just end up stacking % damage increases from items beyond that, and you just get so many stats that you're an incredible duelist, and you can also be a bit of an artillery bot as well because you have so much AP. YSKM does go for that Camille. It is now a very flippy matchup in this top side. It might actually be a bit of a flip of a style from IG, saying, okay, it's not about Arn now. It's not about Arn and Vampire. This lane dominance isn't working for bot side. Let's go back to You Should Know Me in this top side, get him one of his duelists, and see if he can get ahead from the Camille versus the Jace.
Last year, God, the guy just came and bursted out onto the scene, was finding solo kills against some of our top laners. And since then, it's been a bit of a rocky trajectory for YSKM. I love that they're giving him the sticks here. The toughness as Game 3 in Shanghai kicks off. It's LGD versus IG.
Meteor spotted out in this river already, so that will die down. You know the greatest loss we'll have is not seeing that guy hyping up the crowd. I also like, by the way, that the crowd very politely waited to see if Meteor would die or not, and then they started the crowd chant. So it's like, we're getting a level 1? No. Right, let's get back to shouting, folks.
Get the energy filling the room. It needs to for IG. They might have the loudest cheers, but they've been the quietest on the Rift. It's been 2 back-to-back back-breaking games, and it's really just been about slow decision-making around the map, not being able to keep pace with LGD, and we start bringing those conversations of, is this truly the difference between an Ascend team and a Nirvana team?
Just the fundamentals have been so different between these two teams. LGD, they've been way better at getting vision control. They've been way better at setting up the map, way better in side lanes. And IG, I think they can be, at their best, very competent, very creative team fighters. They've not had a chance to do that because they've never had the setup to do that. You have to earn your right to team fight. And that's the problem here. Against a team like this, they're just not getting that nearly as easily. Shaoye and JinJiao will spot, of course, that there is a leash down here on the bot side as on Vampire, giving that over. They do have the Smolder. You can get some limited trading opportunities when you get that W, particularly if you tag onto the end of a Zenith blade and you proc the Sunlight as well. But you are absolutely expected to be pushed under your turret and not to do that much. Luckily for them, Shyvana can't dive you early. That is always the threat to someone like the Smolder, is that you get dove very early into the game. That shouldn't be the case here in this game.
Want to see how quickly both these guys are going to be visiting this top lane matchup. Is going to have a lot to say when we've seen those early top lane leads lead to so many advantages for LGD and ease of access around the rest of the map. YSKM maybe trying to get the hot hand here himself. We'll see if that's actually going to be the case here. But IG themselves, like, they couldn't keep their head above water in the placement stage. You have to remember this has been a 3-part journey for them. It's been a rough one, right? But they went on a 3-win streak to finish out Group Nirvana to get this spot here with their last series win over WE. And you have to hope that that hot hand's going to come alive at some point.
Yeah, the thing about that win streak going into this point for IG, though, is that it always left me with some questions, because it felt like, see what's happening with Zol. Burdol's actually been playing this matchup quite well into YSKM. I've been enjoying watching this. He is a good Jace player. YSKM, of course, one of our best Camille players here too. But no, IG, they reasonably should have lost to the rule swapped RNG, who were doing weirdly probably better with their rule swap players. They took their win over WE, but of course their roster evolving door just didn't really work out for them the way that they wanted. The fact that they were here was the important part, because it gave them some extra time to kind of like soothe those worries that we had. I don't think they've ended up doing that today. Now they do have one last chance here, of course, and the early game has absolutely not come to fruition just yet. And there's every chance that they can pull ahead in a way that they couldn't do in the earlier games in this series so far, but they still have a lot to prove to me.
Let's see a transition back towards the bot side of the map, turning into a 3v3 here in mid lane potentially. As LGD are death squadding it up right now, walking around. IG trying to answer in some capacity. They are a bit split, but Death Wall is also splitting LGD, where that will end up being a double scuttle for Meteor.
Yeah, that's a bit of a problem. So, for those of you, so this is a great topic to have now, because we get to set this up through the game. I think a lot of pro teams are not playing Shyvana that well right now. I think that, hang on a second, are we going to get ourselves a 1v1? Burdol's taking a good trade there. No, not going to be the end of that. A lot of people have been playing Shyvana as an artillery AP poke bot, and she does do that very well. But what she's actually best at right now with the build that she's going with Shojin into Leandries is getting so many random stats kind of cobbled together with so much HP, ability haste, mixed scaling between AP and AD, that if she ever gets a good all-in onto you, you just lose. She chases you down and there's very little you can do about it. And I think that actually what Shyvana should be doing, what pro teams should be doing, is looking for split plays where they can make sure that the Shyvana can run people down and try to separate people out. She's not good when she's jumping into 4 or 5 people, but she's great when she's chasing down 1 or 2 people. And if Meteor can get ahead and get to that break point early if that's 2 items, I think this can be so huge. We've seen Croco do it on Annual's Legend, other teams pull this out very effectively. So Vampire left alone here.
Does end up getting the last bit of the crash down, going to get a decent amount of damage there. Was wondering if he was just going to complete the back there, realizing maybe they don't want to cede pressure on this side. They do anyways in the end, so a bit rough for IG's bot lane as they will end up giving over the first dragon to the dragon herself.
So Shyvana gets 20% extra damage to dragons as part of her passive, and she gets 5 magic resist and armor per dragon, which means that, you know, all those random stats you cobble together, yeah, that's another one you get, where you get a load of HP from the Shojin and the Leandries, and then actually that HP means more because you're tankier. This isn't just the straight AP bomb Shyvana that we've had in the past. She can get really, really tanky as well, beyond what we've seen from previous builds. Now, because they're on bot side, glfs would have an opening towards top side, but Burdol going to save a Shock Blast combo to potentially save down the cannon. YSKM spots that out and stops in the cage.
It's a bit rough. Vampire's up this way, though. They are surrounding the grubs. We have seen LGD get all 6 in 2 games in a row. Here comes the Hextech, as well as the follow-up with the Zenith Blade from Burdol. On needing to get out of there as well. Does have the safety, but he's still down. First blood does end up going to Vampire there. YSKM really wanting that one, but this will lead to IG getting their grubs and the first ones of the series.
Yeah, this is their first grubs they've gotten in 3 games. JinJiao very nearly saves Burdol by flashing into the stun, but it just ends up being an AoE stun instead under that turret.
glfs
might be caught out now.
Oh, the Bramble Smash got JinJiao on the other side. Haichao is not going to hit the Ultra Shock as glfs does burn the flash. YSKM hook-shotting his way to safety. Nothing else on this top side, but LGD were hunting.
Shaoye left alone to 1v1.
On does have Mom.
Down.
You do still go in there with the flash, getting out of the damage. On is going to burn his in return.
You see that even a level down. Swold is not an early game champion, folks. Does not want to be fighting like that. Has gone for the Sheen, but already better start from IG. Get themselves towards this top side, get a kill in a matchup, which is very, very flippy. We talked about Burdol being a big Jace player, but Jace Camille, it is very, very bursty and very, very flippy. Vampire's down towards the bot side again. Shaoye has no flash now. Has cleanse.
We said this is maybe a bit of a weak point. On looking to get the damage capitalization. There's the cleanse away, though. He's end up going to make it out alive. Does have JinJiao coming to give him some safety down here as well.
JinJiao potentially could threaten now with an ignite onto either of these members, which is a bit of a problem for IG. We're going to get a replay of this topside play. So, really well played by YSKM to immediately all in once that hammer form Q was used. There is no way out of that point. Maybe a mistake from Burdol to hammer YSKM away, but this is the thing here. JinJiao tries to flash forward to make sure he can get a stun, but YSKM flashes over the flash from JinJiao's Q. Fantastic play from YSKM to give his team some hope.
He's on his carry. He needs to do so. He's on nicely navigating that one to get away. Now Meteor's in a lot of trouble. Does have the Dragon's Descent to get away. Gonna get a big flame breath there as now Neny is on the way already. JinJiao getting low. IG, they're pouncing. They do lose one in return, and now Haichao is here. Shaoye going down to Neny. Finds himself a double kill, but now the Corgi needs to get his little butt out of there. Will end up falling to the big dragon herself. Meteor getting one back for LGD.
Much better early game fights from IG this time. They're playing around, not this snowball bot lane, but what they're playing towards is unsafely farming while the rest of the team can move about, and it finally ends up being paid back towards the bot lane. We've seen Vampire roam across the map. Finally, the kills happen within this lane. I don't think it's great to be giving kills and kill participation over to the Zeri and towards the Shyvana. I think they're very, very strong in the mid game where we know that LGD have their advantages, but still a 2 for 2 with On getting some extra combat as well to get him his own stacks for hitting champions. That's definitely something you won't turn down here. It's Invictus Gaming. That's JinJiao on the roam to see if he can make himself a first play on this top side. Right now, though, just going to be securing that crash in towards that top side.
glfs does not have Napier's grasp. They do know they're not on vision, though the engage comes out already from YSKM. Hextech has already been used. He doesn't have any way out of this one. LGD, they want to try to fight it. He has his legs, though, and Burdol has his cut from under him. glfs capitalizes.
Yeah, this Jace is not great from behind the game. Being 2 kills down early is not great for LGD. JinJiao is there early, but can't quite get himself the combo that he wants. He doesn't have something like an Ignite to contribute extra damage as well. Much better early game from IG. They've been blown out in terms of jungle support in the first 2 games of this series. Meteor is, however, level 6 and, well, beyond level 6 and has himself Flash and Ultimate. You can't really stick around in this top side. Does mean that, sadly for YSKM, he's actually going to lose some more farm as well, as an extra wave is going to die to just his own minions there. Meteor really needs to wait now for LGD to see if they can get him online with that next back. If he gets towards Shojin Leandries early, I think LGD is going to turn on the afterburners, but they need to get that as early as possible.
There's a 10-minute Shojin's right there, completed for Meteor. We will be getting that first item spike for him. The big question now is to deny the grubs or to go for another dragon. And right now it looks like Meteor is going to cycle over towards these grubs to try to deny the might spawn from IG.
I think just making sure that the 6 grubs on there is really important. Any team with 6 grubs is very, very potent. If you misplay the map, if you lose a fight, the towers go with it. So that's a big old problem. IG, credit to them. Much better game than the first 2 in the series. We've called that out already, but in terms of the macro, in terms of their playing around the map and their strategy, it's been working out a lot more effectively for them. And LGD are now the ones which have to play from slightly behind. Again, Meteor takes one grub, now goes down towards this bot side as well. Maybe just trying to play around his W, gives him some really good ability to roam around the map.
All right, they're going to take the engage immediately. JinJiao has no tankiness. Vampire has hit level 6. JinJiao has not. Nature's Grasp used. IG a little bit worrisome now that they don't have big abilities left. JinJiao doesn't have a big health bar, though. Meteor trying to decide if he wants to go in for the steal. Does get a huge flame breath there. Ooh, gets a little close, but it is IG securing that one and denying the stacking from LGD.
Yeah, Shivada base damages, baby. Doesn't lead to anything again, though. Burdol needs to be careful, but does this time dodge out on the hook shot, which means that it's not under threat. Quite worried about this top lane matchup for poor Burdol. He's going to get ulted here.
YSKM knows the ins and outs of the scissors, and now he's going to cut Burdol's life from him. One nice little hammer knockback, but doesn't matter. A return solo bolo and a return to form for YSKM.
So, IG, they focus on this top side. They get a snowball matchup to YSKM, and it's working out a lot better than their approaches earlier into the series. They have themselves that 1,000 gold lead. They've split the early game objectives well enough, and because of Meteor coming down to contest that bot side Dragon take, it does mean that the grubs are not going to be taken as easily. I wonder if there's going to be a contest for the remaining ones beyond this point. And, you know, Burdol, he misuses this Shock Blast here. That's some of the extra damage. I wonder if that Shock Blast hits whether YSKM would have actually ended being out-traded here. Burdol did have the flash. There was a chance of something happening there, but YSKM more than easily outplays that one. Now he's at the Triforce. That's a big issue. Camille, once you get towards 2 items, is an absolute terror. Does have himself flash to potentially go towards these grubs, but IG choose not to contest that one and leave them to the weight of LGD.
It is going to go even up those... on. He's going to have flap, but Haichao could chase him down here. Does have a little bit of damage back. Mom has come to help, so now it's just an uneven fight. And On makes it away. Does also get a plate for himself down there and is almost at 100 stacks.
But while all this is happening, too, Vampire is the first one to come to his lane. And, you know, I think Vampire's map movements is something which I've criticized a lot over the year. He has definitely helped. He's definitely helped in this game, though, in terms of going towards the different lanes, and he's ended up having himself a fairly solid roaming series, at least in this third game. Couldn't quite manage that in the first 2 games, and that's very important now, because it means that IG, they have really good scaling. They have really good scaling. They have the Smolder, they have Camille Maokai, which are really good in team fights in different ways, whereas on the other side, LGD, they're going to have a Jace, that's 0-3, behind the game, playing from behind the game as the whole team, and the Shyvana as well, who is very good with the individual advantage, but it's not going to be easy to secure those individual fights. And I think that IG are going to be very happy with how this game's come out so far.
And I want to talk about the adaptation of style, because the whole series we're talking on. He's the big guy. But we have had carry moments from other parts of the map, and I love that they were saying, okay, let's delve a little bit of these resources out. Let's give YSKM a little bit more strength, because we've seen what Burdol getting a little bit of a lead on topside has done for LGD.
And Burdol is a player in his own right that's had a strange year. I thought he had 6 spring. I think in summer he struggled a bit more fighting topside jungle. JinJiao doesn't have flash. Could be in a bit of change up, but no real follow-up within range. But Burdol, yeah, thought he was verging on top 3, 4 top laner in spring. His Aatrox lethality play was really, really good. Teleport now on the boss side. Neny does have flash.
Dragon's Descent.
Here.
They'll have a little bit of damage with the Flame Breath. Ultra Shock hits too. There's Nature's Grasp and TP coming out from IG to try to rejoin this fight. Haichao looking for Neny though. Haichao almost gets him. Goes down to YSKM in the end. True Shot Barrage gonna go wide, and that Corgi is looking fine.
If that first Flame Breath hits, he goes down, but it doesn't. Meteor not able to find the first split fight that he looks for really in this game, and it's IG now winning on the split map in the way that LGD were earlier on. They do have Shaoye set up shot in this mid lane, can't really do much more with it, so LGD kind of out of plays again. Burdol does get to push this top side for free, but it's not like there are plates left anymore. He won't be able to get that much, especially because of course YSKM will be the Camille on that bot side turret. That will be a bit of an issue, and because he's got that Triforce already, Camille will do Camille things to this tower.
You're going to see that trade, though, coming through, because Rift Herald, I do believe, has been started by LGD. So something given in return. They do end up getting that first turret, though, so a little bit of extra gold given to YSKM. And that is pretty massive for IG, as they are finding strength in the side lane, but they are not going to be ones that can just continue resting on their laurels. Yes, we talked about some of the scaling, making sure On can get to 225, but it's also going to be where the LGD are willing to fight over these dragons, willing to push this tempo a little bit for themselves.
And LGD, they haven't really managed to help Burdol get into this game at all. They had like a Robo 2 towards the top side, but that's been a little bit too late. And IG, that means that when it comes around playing either side lanes or around the Dragon, I think they just have the advantage right now. They also have this Smolder in the back pocket, 119 stacks right now. That's completely fine. He has his own Shojin. He'll be going towards likely an Essence Reaver after that point, and maybe a Triforce later into the game as well if he wants a Sheen proc. But Arn's going to be completely fine going towards his own style. I think LGD, they're now going to have to really think about how they approach all of these fights. They're the ones which don't win the clean 5v5s anymore. They're the ones which are going to have to clean up their play and look for these more scrappy fights before these big 5v5s become a problem. Against the Maokai, against the Smolder, and of course against this Camille, who's giving an absolute terror later on.
They are trying to look for a play on top side. IGR as Haichao under turret is going to get the TP from Burdol to help save his life. Dragon had been started up by LGD. This would be a second one, so stacking up some of those resists. He's going to have to be able to smite this one away. A little bit of poke damage there, but Meteor does secure it.
So that's some extra stats for Meteor, an extra Dragon on the board for LGD, and of course the extra Mountain Dragon will very much help. Particularly JinJiao and Meteor trying to hold that door shut in whatever kind of skirmish the team force they want for a little bit longer. While this is happening though, IG are now getting the outer turrets for the first time. They have themselves 2 turrets to none. LGD, they did get that Herald onto mid lane, but they haven't managed to kill that. So IG, much better in terms of this. They do need to be careful, IG, about overstaying though. There is still every ability to... wait, what are they talking about here? What happened here? Why are we hop-firing over the jungle clear? What happened here? He takes a blue buff? Okay.
So
I'm
looking at this setup right now, though, and I feel like it actually is a situation where IG are adapting a little bit to the style and the setup for LGD. Because one of the biggest strengths we said was this top trio for LGD, and we also said there's a little bit of bending and breaking from Burdol occasionally. And IG have centered in on that for game number 3, where it is do or die for them. So I think that's some really nice adaptation as a whole, and they're going to have some serious fight strength, but they definitely don't want to give over a Mountain Soul, and they want that Mountain Soul because it would help with all this poke.
I mean, it's just such a big objective in any game. Also, I think I remember, I figured out what the picture... I think it's just the level 11 from Meteor. I saw the
Probably.
Level 11. Oh, yeah. There is, in fact, a full level advantage in the jungle. That sometimes happens against a Shyvana.
Almost.
Yeah. Shyvana going to be very, very powerful, of course, when you get that second tier of your ultimate. Gives you extra rage generation as well, which really helps you reduce your ultimate cooldown effectively that way. Got Arn, of course, trying to scale up himself here on another dragon-like champion. He's been doing fine. He'll get source towards his 2 items, more than fine enough. IG, they're just so far ahead on the side lanes, man. LGD, I don't think they're used to playing like this. This
but that's
is a
their
team which
big
has
strength.
so heavily... It has been them just saying, all right, let's just get gold from turrets and side lanes. They haven't been able to do that at all, and the plays they've tried to make have fallen apart, and not for the first time. Burdol is on a Jace that's been shut down. They can't complement that at all. But I don't think that what they were expecting was the fact that Neny is now very far ahead of the individual matchup against Haichao as well. So LGD, they're going to be the ones which are going to have to dig their heels in, find themselves something to fight around later on.
Vampire, a little bit of trouble. It's really nice to see IG utilize their 5-pick on red side for strength, right? I mean, we have seen a lot in their recent series where YSKM is picking his picks early. The Casantes have been often in throw. But the fact that they were able to get a side lane strength and have this as a separate flexible style, or at least a style to play through against LGD here, has been really, really nice. But the answers are still there. You're going to be worried about all the poke coming through, and you don't even have to hit the flame breath. It just hits 90% of the time.
Yeah, we sadly not quite as much value as Croco killing Gala the other day with the Shyvana onto the Ziggs combo. But that's that's your ultimate from Meteor trying to get some poke onto Arn. It's not going to be that valuable.
Oh, this can't happen. This cannot happen. YSKM, he needs to try to find something back here. Might get a kill back. He does. Nice little smooth flash play there, but Haichao will get himself back in the game with that one because a shutdown goes over.
That's a shutdown. Of course, it's a kill onto a 0-4 Jace. There were some changes recently, by the way, to even reduce the gold you give from when you're behind the game in terms of your death streaks. LGD will be able to get a side lane outer turret. That'll be something for them, but it's going to be traded for an inner turret, rather, on the top side, which, of course, much more gold. It's, I think this still favors LGD because they really needed to open up the map one way or another. Getting a kill onto Haichao is important. It would have been great if they could have led to a bit more than this, but they'll take what they can get anyway.
Such a contested third game here. This is the level of chaos, maybe a little bit of contest that we expect coming to this one, and it was a pleasant surprise to see LGD's map movements really be their strength in the first couple games. But now we take a look back at exactly how YSKM got caught out.
But it's so funny to watch a level 7 support, level 13 top laners, but hey, that's just the nature of this. YSKM, of course, has huge damage. Gets the kill onto the Jace, does burn his flash to do that, which will be something which you can't force fights with after. Yeah, I think with this Camille flash down, I think, sadly, Burdol doesn't really get any of that gold. That's a problem, but I think still LGD just about have a marginal advantage from that one. I think the outer turret really was something that they were looking for quite a while. Dragon now spawning in 30 seconds. Of course, they have a little bit more presence towards that bot side because they killed that outer turret just before this. LGD, are they really going to be able to fight for this? I don't know. At least Smolder doesn't have 225 stacks, but I don't know if they have the real fighting presence when they're this far behind. 3K at this timestamp is not great.
They did just get Leandres for Meteor. The big thing about LGD's composition is if IG are in the pit, they can have a ton of poke to lay layer down. But that's why glfs is crucial for IG, because he can get that counter engage. And speaking of, he's going to get the engage on JinJiao, but JinJiao gets his own counter. Big damage on, but it's not enough. Mommy comes out to save the day. And now IG are putting some damage back into LGD's poke composition. They've got to be under turret here, though. LGD fighting out YSKM, gets out himself, and these health bars will just mean that IG have primo position on the dragon, and this will be tying that one up 2-2.
And LGD, I don't think they have an answer anywhere else.
Oh,
Shaoye alone, he's overstepped, and he goes down.
Wow, I just love the decisiveness from YSKM so far, and they have now gotten themselves a massive advantage 22 minutes in, and they'll take the final outer tower too.
Man, YSKM is such a good Camille player, folks.
He really is.
Everything he's done in this game, from the outplays individually onto Burdol, into the ways that he's looking for picks, have really changed things. YSKM has been, he's been fine on his tank duty, but having some moments like that after is really important. Arn could have just been one shot there, but the damage can't quite come through. Burdol doesn't contribute anything to this, and after that, you just wish he stayed on the sidelines and opened up something on the map. LGD, they try and find themselves a big fight, but they're denied by that Maokai. glfs having huge value on that Maokai too. And LGD really struggling to have their own platform in this fight now. That's what was happening to IG earlier in this series. This wasn't a close game 1 and game 2, but IG, real credit to them. They've made this look a lot more in their favor in this game 3. They've been ahead in this top lane. They've been getting onto a point of power as well. He's very, very powerful. And IG, I think they're ready to rock now.
I was just about to say, guess who's coming knocking? It's a little dragon in the name of On, and he's going to be super terrifying. We said from the beginning, he is a lot of their win condition, but they'll have so much damage with him and Neny now having decent advantages at least, but really getting to that third item spike, having that damage profile to put up a lot of this team fighting that LGD are looking to try to contest a bit of.
So 2 items, basically, well, they are everywhere. I mean, horse supports don't really count, but we're going on towards 3 items now. And why is
wow,
like, I'm sorry,
did everybody just hear that? Supports
well,
everywhere, rise up.
I don't know, man. When you ever play ARAMs and supports have normal gold, they are not fair champions, so I'll stand by this one. They're completely okay without them. IG getting that Fog of War. This is so oppressive now. Meteor would love to get split fights, can't quite get it.
Trying to get the Flame Breath down. Big combo there, but YSKM is just soloing out Shaoye. Double TPs in. The Avenger Beams have spawned some reinforcements. Look at Meteor, though. He's getting collapsed on now. Needs to get another Flame Breath off. They did take down YSKM. Meteor is the only one standing on the right flank over here. They did end up taking down JinJiao too, but one more Flame Breath, not going to connect there. LGD and IG, they're scrapping.
Yeah, how did that end up being a 1-for-1? I looked at that, fine, you've got to think that IG would wipe that, but YSKM goes down at an important moment. LGD might have now found an opening to get towards this mid lane outer turret. I don't think IG can do much about this. glfs has flash, but no ultimate. Meteor's back. Finally, LGD start getting something back. Important moment for them. Meteor might even be able to get himself into some vision down in the enemy jungle or some clearing out as well around this Baron. This is a reprieve now for LGD. It starts with Vampire not getting the Zenith Blade he wants. It's a well-timed E. I think it kind of baits him in with that. And yeah, YSKM gets a really good kill onto Shaoye, but how the heck does this end up turning around into YSKM just being alone here? It's good damage coming out from Burdol and Haichao. But yeah, poor YSKM just can't turn it around.
And now we look back on the map. LGD trying to utilize their poke comp, trying to use some of this strength they found, but they're still pretty far behind in terms of the advantage that IG have garnered for themselves. And I think it's going to come down to a lot of how YSKM gets himself away here. He's level 16. He's on 3 items. We've talked about on. He is at that threshold for the execution. And now IG's composition with close to 3 items is going to be online.
We also have Meteor almost at his 3rd item as well. We've typically seen the Horizon focus. He's going towards the Rift Maker. Basically, you just build any item which says get % damage increase, which he's got from both Shojin when he stacks it up, the Leandry's part of that Horn Guy's passive, and then the Rift Maker too. If he gets towards that 3 items, of course that's a huge point of power too, which GLFS will struggle to match in terms of damage. Of course, the Maokai can control the area of the team fight a lot more. IG, they got a little bit damage checked in that one. They're not invincible. They're ahead of this game, and it is a good lead. But I think that last fight will be a bit of a wake-up call. This is not a free game. You're still here in the nice rival stage facing off against an Ascension team. You cannot afford to let those fights go over for free. Baron, of course, very powerful. Dragon, of course, up as well. YSKM, probably the most powerful person on the map still. He's got a really good advantage over Burdol as it stands. Can he use that to give his team the leverage in the next team fight, the next Dragon fight?
On one edge of the blade, a knighthood. On the edge, a decapitation. 2025 waiting whoever loses this series. On the other end, Burdol getting soloed again by YSKM. He does it time and time again. And you see why he gets this champion in a pivotal matchup for IG. LGD trying to answer on the other side as IG looking for picks.
Am I crazy to think because he uses his flash at all, LGD are actually okay with this? Because he might be able to take this bot lane turret, but I think that because Dragon's coming up in 10 seconds, LGD might just send Haichao down to answer this one and look towards the Dragon after this point. He can hop over the wall and potentially cause some harm here.
Oh my goodness, here comes Meteor too, and just like a meteor falling from the sky, but in the form of a dragon, he'll pick up a big shutdown on YSKM. Baron started up by IG. They burn it very quickly, so they'll be able to take this one down unless a miracle comes through, and that will not be the case. 4 Baron capes for IG, answered by another dragon for LGD, putting them on soul point.
Yeah, so it's going to be 3 dragons for LGD. Of course, the Shyvana passive gets some extra resist from that too, and that will stack up again with the Mountain Dragon. LGD, I don't think they hate this for now, but they will need to make sure IG don't get themselves the best possible kind of Baron play. YSKM goes in straight with the Q2, charges on the minis. Burdol just, look, buddy, you see him charging your Camille Q. Like, that's not going to end well for you. YSKM, clean combo. Does end up having to use his flash and his ult, though, which means he can't outplay the second part of that play. And now with the Baron buff up for IG, but no Dragon. LGD, there's nothing really for them to fight for across the map. I think they're actually okay to just absorb some pressure for now. Maybe they can look for a soul flip beyond this point. It's not great that they gave over that Baron, but it could have weirdly been worse because YSKM doesn't have that Baron buff, and that would have been, I think, a real killer. At least they stopped the worst case scenario.
I will say, Haichao, he's going the full sustainability build. Shield bow plus Bloodthirster. Love to see that, taking advantage of the shields there for the Zeri, but we're seeing all the contest over this red buff here. Yeah, they did end up getting it. Okay, the biggest thing to be worried about here, though, is some of that sustained damage that IG are going to be able to pump out now, especially on these sieges.
Yeah, I think IG, with this Smolder being really strong, if we get to a full 5v5, Smolder has to die early. The problem is, so does YSKM. That's a bit of a problem too. So, not going to be the easiest thing. Haichao going to get ulted.
Is all the sustainability going to be enough? He got hit by the Nature's Grasp, dashed into it. Thunder Crash comes down. Flame Breath is not going to connect just yet. Tries to get on YSKM. YSKM just eviscerates Haichao. Here comes IG to make the party even. And they find a couple kills. Bot lane, they're looking mid now. They want to give LGD a taste of their own medicine.
Alright, LGD, they do not like that earlier trade of the Dragon for the Baron. IG use it well. They push in the late waves and they force a fight on their own terms, and they will strike back in this series.
In a deadly flight in Shanghai, IG turn the sword right back on LGD. So close to going down, but not once to go down quietly, as they will take their first game win of this series. And now we have a series on our hands.
YSKM, he got solo killed earlier in the series and says, alright, enough of that, let's get ourselves to a point where I can start carrying. That Camille was absolutely pivotal change. It wasn't about lane dominance from bot side. It wasn't Kai'Sa or Draven or something like that. It was all about that Camille into a good matchup in top side. In LGD, they fell behind early, even against these more scaling lanes. They couldn't protect Burdol. I don't want to see Burdol on that Jace again. I think it's too much volatility in LGD. They paid the price for it.
Got to find a way to stabilize here for LGD, or we might just have a little bit of a reverse sweep on our hands here. IG, they strike true, but they got to keep striking here as we're going to step away for a break, and we'll be